I am Jean Atkins from House of Quilting. I would like to show you how to use your new thimble that you just purchased. It's really a revolutionary approach to quilting because always before they have always worn a thimble on their finger, and this one you hold instead of wear. I would like to show you how to use your new thimble. It lays crossways in your hand where your fingers join your hand with your fingers gently closed around it. You don't grip it at all, you just gently hold it. Okay, we're going to do a little bit without a knot, so we're going to speak mostly to the experienced quilter right now, so I'm just going to come up on this line, and I don't have a knot here, and I'm just going to quilt a little bit. The difference in this thimble, you're holding it instead of wearing it. When you're wearing a thimble, you'll set your first stitch all the way in, and you'll put your thimble on, and you'll raise it, and you'll push till it touches your finger. Well, this thimble, you always put your thumb in front first, just as if you were wearing it. Lay your thimble on. I like 2 end holes. Just lock it in one of the holes. You raise it to 45 degrees, and you just wait. With a regular thimble, you would raise it, and you would have pushed till it touched your finger. This thimble, the weight of it is going to make the needle go down and touch your finger. And when you feel it touch, you push up with your underfinger and down with your thumb. And then you just raise it and you hold it. You're going to go slow motion for 1 needleful. Push up hard with your underfinger and down with your thumb. You lift and you wait. And you think you're going to wait forever, but just hold it there. It'll sink down by itself and touch your finger, and then you bring it up. So I'm going to raise it to about 45, and then I'm going to push up when it touches my finger. You get about 6 stitches on your needle, and then you push up in the middle of your needle hard, and you go down with your thimble and your thumb, and you squeeze. Release, move the thimble down and squeeze again, release and squeeze again until you tap it through. Sometimes you're stuck and you can't pull with your fingers, and you can pull with this thimble. Just stick it under, grip it, and give it a quick jerk. It's best to pull with your fingers, because if you'll notice, I'm going to have to lay the needle down and pick it back up, which is going to slow you down. Pull your thread a couple inches and start again. And I usually tell you when you're first starting with this thimble to set the first stitch until you get used to it, and if you'll slant that needle backwards a little bit and let it touch your finger and come forward, it'll give you a good first stitch. And then just lay your thimble on and just begin to quilt like you usually quilt. This thimble won't ever wear out. It doesn't fall off your finger. It doesn't rub the side of your finger. You can quilt faster, and it regulates your stitches for you. So squeeze, squeeze, and squeeze till you squeeze it through, and then pull. Once you get used to this thimble, we have another product that we manufacture, and it's a finger saver. And there's 2 strips in a pack. You cut 1 square off with the scissors and cut that square in half. And you take your needle and just lift this white paper up off of it. And you stick it long ways on your finger. More people touches the middle finger than the index, but it really doesn't matter. So I'm going to put it on my index finger long ways and just stick it on. This will re-stick over and over and over, and when it wears out, it'll get a hole in the yellow part. You store it on your thimble right here when you're not using it. Just take it off your finger and store it right here. This tape is good for applique, hand piecing, quilting, and embroidery. So my finger is going to be underneath, and I'm going to push up hard with this tape. I'm going to slant the needle backwards. Let it go into the tape till you feel it barely touch your finger. And then you go down, and once you start down, don't stop. Go down, down, down till it just popped off. Now, you lay your thimble on and just raise it to 45. And just as soon as you raise it to 45 degrees, you're not going to have to wait this time. I'm going to raise it to 45, and it stops. You'll feel a little dimple touch when it stops. And then you're ready to push up, and you'll feel it prick off the tape. You raise it to 45 and it stops, and you push up. You drop finger down, and then you push up hard with the tape, and if it's quite, you'll hear it every single time it pricks off the tape. And this takes the pricks instead of your finger taking the pricks. Squeeze, squeeze, and squeeze till you tap it through. Pull. I don't usually pull my thread through until I've got a few stitches on there, and then I'll pull it through. But we're just going to go without a knot right now. And I usually just pull that out. When I'm showing them how to begin, I just pull it out and start all over again. So we're just going to start. I'm going to come up. You back up a little bit and come up on your line, wherever you're going to start. And you go ahead and go. After you get used to the finger savers, do one needleful without the tape, and then you put the tape on and do it with the tape. And then push up really hard, and you'll notice I started the first stitch by slanting it backwards and coming forward, and then on the second needleful, stand your needles straight up, or if you're on a tough place, if you'll slant that needle backwards, push till it goes through the tape and barely touches finger. And then when you go down, that needle will release off the tape, and then you raise it to 45 and it'll stop and you push up. It just stops and you push up. The tape is wonderful, and most people think they can't quilt unless they can feel the needle. But this tape will let you feel as if it were your finger and doesn't slow you down, and you have a quick return. Push up very hard with your tape. This is important, to push up hard with that underfinger. Your underfinger is doing more of the work than anything else. Give it a little push backwards, and that holds the needle up. Before, we used to just balance it on our finger and then would go down with your regular thimble like that. This, you go down with this and it'll pop off the tape. And when you come up, it just stops and you push up. Now, if you have great difficulty with this thimble, I'm going to tell you what you can say that'll help you. Now, even as an experienced quilter, I want you to go really slow to start with until you get the feel. It's very, very hard not to push with this thimble. The weight of it is what's going to push for you. And if you push at all, your stitch is going to be too big. And that's the most important thing you're going to have to learn with this thimble. Other than that, the technique is the very same as wearing it. You do the same thing. You go around curves the same way. You do everything the same way. And left-handed people can also use this, and I'll show you that in a minute. Okay. Just stand your needle up. You can go down and just keep on going. You can get a lot of stitches on your needle. You see how many I got on there? A lot of people ask me, do I bend and break a lot of needles? Well, I don't really bend and break a lot of needles. First off, I'm using a very good needle, which is a Colonial brand needle, and that's my favorite brand right here. It's a good strong needle. It doesn't bend and break like some needles, and you can get more stitches on this needle. So I'm going to squeeze it through. This is important. When it gets tight, release it, move your thimble down and squeeze again, and move your thimble down and squeeze again until you squeeze it through. And then you don't have to keep doing pulling and pulling at that needle trying to get it through, and you don't have to pick up a pair of pliers. If it is stuck on a seam, just remember to grip it and pull it through. Okay. Okay, once you're done with your finger saver, you just stick it back on your thimble. Remember, it's good for applique, wonderful for applique, hand piecing, quilting, and embroidery. Some people touches their thumb right here, and if they touch their thumb, they take 1/4 of a square and stick it on their thumb right there. And that needle will hit that thumb instead of hitting their finger. It does take just a little bit of getting used to the tape, and the tape is worth persevering over. If you think at first you don't like the tape, try and try again until you get the feel of it. If the needle goes through the tape, sews into it, or pricks off really, really hard, you're pushing with your thimble. Or if your stitches are too big, you are pushing instead of lifting. You just lift with this thimble. It pushes for you automatically. Once you realize this, you'll go real fast with it. You only have to go slow for a couple needlefuls. If you have great difficulty with this thimble, set your stitch, push up hard as you can, slant it backwards, lay your thimble on, and if you can't do that with your thimble, do it with your fingers, a few needlefuls till you get the feel of it, and then go with your thimble. Give it a little push till it sticks in. And go down. Now, I'm going to say lift and push up, and this is what lift means. Lift means to bring the needle up to 45 degrees. Not straight up, that's straight up. I want you to bring it halfway up. And that's what lift means, okay? Push up means hard with the tape. So it's going to sound like this. We're ready to go now. Lift and push up. When the needle breaks right there, you just see the tip of that needle, you're ready to say lift. So your finger relaxes underneath. Lift and push up. Lift and push up. Lift and push up. Don't say lift, you see it break. Lift and push up. What that's telling you, it's telling you when you lift that you're ready to push up, that this thimble has already pushed for you, and that you need to go ahead and do it, and that just reminds you to do that. Now, some of them pick up really good when they're beginning to use this thimble. They pick up really good on that lift and push up. Some of them, let me pull this thread through. Okay, we don't have a knot, so I've just pulled it all the way through. I'll show you later how to get a knot there. Okay, some pick up better this way. Just set your first stitch all the way in, either way, with your fingers or with your thimble. I'm pushing till that needle goes almost through the tape and touches finger, and it'll come off the tape. You can bring your needle up halfway, which is 45 or a little more, and back down. When the needle breaks, halfway and down. When the needle breaks, halfway and down, halfway and down, halfway and down. You see I've got about 5 stitches on that needle. Now, if I keep that heel up, or if I keep pushing up and try to bring that needle up, it's going to bend or break that needle. But if you want to get a couple more stitches on there, which when you're first learning, about 5 or 6 is enough, but later on you can get another. Watch my finger drop. It relaxes the material and allows that needle to go down and get another stitch without bending that needle. And then when you push up underneath, this is important, and you go down, you always squeeze it straight across. If you see the needle bending, it's most likely going to bend. Release, squeeze, release, squeeze. The reason you release and squeeze, if you try to squeeze it all at once, that thimble's going to slip off and your finger's going to hit the needle. Okay, I'm going to go on down to and turn around and go back the other way. I'm just going to quilt a little bit here. This thumb is very important too. If you're on, you see I'm pushing up underneath and down with that thumb helps you get a good back stitch. And if you're not picking up the back stitch, you need to feel just a little bit more of the needle underneath. Okay, see I've loaded that needle pretty good there, and we're going to squeeze it, squeeze it, squeeze it. When you're going around curves, you only get 2 to 4 stitches just like you do with a regular thimble. Stand your needle up straight, give it a little push. You can stand it up straight or slant. I usually always slant mine backwards. My husband, he always stands his up straight, and he just tells them to lay the needle down. He's very good at demonstrating also. And you just go with it. Just as fast as you can drop that finger down and push up, you can go with it. Squeeze, squeeze, and squeeze. And then pull. I'm going to go right up to the flower here. I'm going to set it. Sometimes I set it and sometimes I stand it up, so just go. I'm going to turn it around. Okay, I'm going to go back to this next line over here. So I'm going to slip all the way under, and I'm going to come up on that line. You don't want to let it go all the way through. You want it to be in the middle so it doesn't show underneath. Just set your first stitch, slant it backwards a little bit, give it a little push, and go down. And just go ahead and quilt. What gives you nice even stitches also is watching that needle point. You see the same amount each time, you let it go under the same amount. Actually, as soon as you feel it stop, you're ready to push up. If you want a little bit bigger stitch, you see just a little bit more of the needle point, and you see that much each time. I'm not really a real fussy quilter. I just do the best I can, and if I'm on really tough places, I just push up a little harder with my underfinger and down with my thumb a little harder. There's very few occasions that I stab stitch. That's where you go down and come back up. And the only time I do that is if I'm where a lot of seams are coming together and I cannot get any kind of stitch at all, I'll slant the needle backwards. And if I can't get any kind of a stitch, I will stab stitch for one stitch to get across that seam. But usually, if you'll slant that needle backwards a little bit and give it a little push, that helps you get a good back stitch if you're on tough places. Or if I was coming up to a seam right here, I would start one stitch, if the seam was right here, we'll say, I would start one stitch behind that seam. Because once you get the first stitch on there, you can get across the seams, push up a little harder, and down with your thumb a little harder. Now, I would quilt all the way to the end of this, and then I would slip my needle up under, and let me go ahead to the end here and I'll show you. If it feels like it went in the tape too far, or you don't feel like it's going to come off of it, loosen it up a little bit and pull so it doesn't go quite as far into the tape. This tape lets you feel as if it were your finger and doesn't slow you down. Squeeze, squeeze. When I put this on the market, the Finger Savers, I began to get letters like, it was a great breakthrough for quilters. I can quilt with a happy heart and a healthy left hand. And one bought it in Alaska and went to Hawaii and gave it to a teacher. The teacher wrote me a long letter telling me how much she liked the Finger Savers. And we've got lots of good letters with the thimble, because a lot of people can't wear a thimble. Their fingers either too big, too little, or their fingernails are too long. It rubs the side of their finger here. It falls off their finger. Their fingers are bigger in the summer and smaller in the winter. It's either too tight or too loose. They wear out. Sometimes the needle goes through them. And this thimble, it won't ever wear out. It doesn't fall off your finger, rub the side of your finger, or damage your nails. And it's got the deep indents for your needle to fit in. You'll notice I'm coming around the leaf and I'm staying close to it. You could have chose to come 1/4 of an inch away from it either way. Give it a little push and go down. So I got the pattern on the Finger Savers on the first appeal. For the new beginner quilter, I'm going to show you what your finger is doing underneath. Okay, you take more people uses the middle finger. So what you're doing, that finger is laying under the quilt and it's facing up towards the bottom of the quilt. And that needle is going to go down and it's going to touch somewhere in this area. You might take your finger and try it. It's going to touch right there. And when you feel it touch, you just feel a little touch. You round that finger and push up hard with your finger or your fingernail. It sends that needle back up. And all that finger does is drops down and pushes up. Drops down and pushes up. And that's what you need to try feeling. And as a beginner, you're going to make your knot. You're going to hold it between just the very tip of the thread between your fingers. You're going to lay your needle across with most of your needle sticking up. Hold it and wrap your thread 3 times. Slip it between your fingers and pull and just hold it till you get all the way to the other end. And you wind up with a knot with a tail on it. So I'm going to start right here quilting, and I'm going to back up about 1 inch from where I'm going to start here. And I'm going to come up 1 stitch in front of where I actually want to start. You wrap this around your finger and snap that knot through. Now, if it secures, you're fine. See, that has secured. It didn't come all the way through. If it comes through, do it again until it secures. Slant your needle backwards. Set it with your fingers the first couple needlefuls, and then go with your thimble. Always put your thumb in front first. If you put your thimble on first and then put your thumb there, you'll automatically push. And this is very important. I am going to lift to 45 and wait. Don't use the tape the first needleful. You're waiting for that needle to touch your finger. When you feel it touch, you push up. Watch your needle point. If you push too far like this, take your thimble and back it up to where you just see the tip of the needle. And just raise it, and it'll touch finger. You wait, go really slow, and it'll go down by itself. If you push, it's going to stick your finger, and you're going to get too big of a stitch. As a beginner, you can get you just a half a yard of muslin and a little block of batting and put it between and just practice with it a little bit. When you're going around curves, we're going to just have an imaginary curve here. You just take it around. See me moving the needle around and come up on the curve. Take it around, come up on the curve. You make the needle go where you want it to go, and you get 3 to 4 stitches, and then you bring it up. And then you've got to turn your frame just a little bit. And you set it on your curve. When you're going around curves, just get 2 to 4 stitches. Just go around, around, and around, and bring it up. Now, if I get 3 more and 3 more, I'd have a circle. As a beginner, you're probably not going to do much backwards quilting, but this is the way you do it. Just slant the needle towards you, come back like this, set that first stitch. Lay it backwards in your hand. Put your thimble on with this finger out and lift and push up. Watch your needle point. Get about 5 stitches on your needle and squeeze it through. And I usually pull with it if I'm going backwards all the time. It's just easier when you're going backwards to pull with it. Okay, I hope you enjoy your new thimble and happy quilting. For left-handed, you lay the thimble in your left hand crossways with your fingers gently closed. You have the same hand position with your thumb in front. I'm not really good at setting the first stitch, so I've set that first stitch right-handed, so you would be going left-handed. Just raise it to 45 and you'll feel it touch your finger or the tape, whichever you're using, and you push up. You'll probably be better left-handed than me, but you quilt the same way. Just drop your finger down and go. And then you just squeeze it through. And I'm not even really good at that, but you'll do much better. But you can use this left-handed or right-handed, whichever way you choose to do.